Last item for which I have time before we do the major things. This has to do with a company in San Diego, California. I'm sure you've never heard of it, unless you are from that area. The company is called Modern Times Beer. It's a company that brews beer in San Diego. It has 118 employees. It is about 5 years old, and it currently produces over 40,000 barrels of beer per year, which it distributes, I assume, in the West Coast and areas like that. Why am I bringing this to your attention? Well, I found out about it because someone who listens to our radio show from that area thought I should know about it, and she was right. Here's what's interesting. Last week, the owner, whose name I'm happy to give you, Jacob McLean, is it McLean? McKean, sorry, M-C-K-E-A-N, Jacob McKean, the owner and entrepreneur who started that business and has made it a successful beer business, gave his employees 30% ownership of the company. He turned over 30% of the ownership to his workers. We only do that for dramatic effect. Thank you very much. The timing was excellent. Jacob McKean's company called Modern Times Beer has become 30% owned by those 118 workers that work in his brewery. But what's even more interesting is he fully intends to make it 100% owned by the workers. Even that would not have made me bring it to your attention. But I discovered that Mr. McKean has even bigger ambitions. He doesn't want the company just to be owned by the workers. That wouldn't be enough, he said. He wants it to be run by the workers too. He doesn't want them to be passive shareholders who turn over the running of the company to a board of directors in just the way regular companies are run. No, he doesn't. He wants the workers to own it as the first step in becoming the directors as well as the owners of the company. I am pledged to do that, he says, and now I want to read to you his answer to 2 questions in an interview. Here's the first one. One way I pledge to keep this industry, the craft beer industry, awesome is by never selling my brewery to big beer. Big beer is Budweiser and all of that, which is a big problem for these little craft beers that get going, and then the big ones come in, give them an offer they can't refuse, and that's why Budweiser has 400 different labels. So when you go to some area and you get some weird little name beer, it's the same Budweiser, just in a different can. And it charges you more. Anyway, I don't want to ever sell my brewery to big beer. But I know there will likely come a time when I'm tired of carrying the weight of so much responsibility. But when that time comes, this is what I want you to listen to. When that time comes and I'm no longer interested in this business, I'm not going to screw the people who made my success possible in the first place. That would be an unethical choice I could never be proud of. I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to everyone in this industry, in this enterprise. And when it comes time for me to do something else, I refuse to throw a hand grenade over my shoulder on my way out the door. Oh, goodness, what an image of the entrepreneur. I want to drive that home. This is a businessman, it could be a businesswoman too, who is proud of having started and succeeded in building a business, but who believes that what he is proud of, having started a business, having drawn in 118 people whose lives now also depend on that business, that he hasn't got the right or the ethical entitlement to act as though it's just his, because it isn't. As he says, they all contributed to my success, to the success of this business. How could I walk out the door and say, it's mine to do with as I wish? That would be the equivalent of throwing a hand grenade on your way out the door. He's not going to do that. Next quotation from him, Jacob McKean. I've certainly given this a great deal of thought. I've learned that if the employees are not passionate about what the company makes and how it operates, they won't see themselves as having a future there. Even a 100% worker-owned company, that's called an ESOP, E-S-O-P, does not have to offer any meaningful governance or management role to the employees. But the consequences of doing that is that the company's owners aren't invested in the company's direction. That's a formula for a bad culture, a bad enterprise, and that will lead to a sale eventually, and I don't want that. That's the opposite of what we want. So now notice, not only ethically is this entrepreneur committed to giving his workers the ownership and the operation, but he's arguing that the success of this business depends on doing that. You know what he's saying? That the capitalist organization, a few owners and a mass of people doing the work, isn't efficient, isn't effective, has no justification in terms of how good the outcome is. Its only value is to enrich the few at the top who sit on this pyramid. And they've tried to fool us into thinking there's something specially efficient. And when I say us, I mean particularly the economics profession, because we reproduce that nonsense all the time.